Our country is going through it right now. We have elections where the people accuse the government of playing favorites. We have a parliament that threatens to police content released in social media. And we have the military trying to get back into the government and politics. And while those three I mentioned could be justified and there's plenty of substance lying around where people can argue the fact, I cannot find a single good reason as to why Indonesia wants to ban Twitter outside of pornography. Seriously, this is the biggest social media fumble since Master Oogway released the N-word song. You see, I think banning Twitter is the single most dingest thing our government could do this year. It could set back the progress of rizzing up Elon Musk and would make us look no better than China. I can even say that it's a bad move in practical politics. But before I continue my tangent, let's explore the background. For those of you guys watching overseas, Indonesia has banned pornography since 2008. They tried formulating the ban in 1997, but the law wasn't passed due to weak support from the public. Discussions on the ban resurfaced after a slew of celebrity sex scandals making it out to public in various criminal cases where the perpetrators claimed pornography was responsible for making them that way. The Undang-Undang Nomor 44 Tahun 2008 tentang pornography came into discussion and was passed amid strong reactions of legislatures, especially from eastern Indonesia. Of course, this law was passed so easily because when you look at the team that was set up to plan this law, it was headed by the representative from the Democratic Party, who at the time held the presidency, and obviously a representative from the Prosperous Justice Party, their allies, which everyone knew was a rabid far-right Islamist party. Not only that, many Islamist groups like MUI, FPI, and Hizbut Tahrir supported the law. But continuing the story, the law triggered a strong opposition from society who rejected this law, claiming that it was the first step towards a totalitarian society. They argued that this law was made by asserting one group of people's moral standard and culture upon other groups of people with different morals and culture. Feminists argue that this law puts the burden of blame on women, because pornography in the female body entices men to do bad, apparently. And therefore the law insinuates that women must dress more conservatively and less revealing in order to, quote-unquote, keep the peace. Other groups of Indonesians say that this law is the government's way of infiltrating its citizens' personal morals, and is dictating what is and could be one's morals. But the group supporting this law often claim that this is a preventive measure to halt the moral decay of the Indonesian society and also to prevent sexual violence. Although it is challenging to say whether or not the ban has prevented more sexual violence, especially since the Sexual Violence Crime Bill was passed in 2022 increasing reports of sexual violence, a study from the University of San Antonio, Texas, and a journal from Sage India has disputed that pornography is linked to sexual violence. But back to the present. The existence of this wretched bill is threatening Twitter in Indonesia. And Twitter in Indonesia is the only place where freedom of speech is most respected. People even post porn on Twitter despite it going against community guidelines. Overwhelmed by the amount of pornographic content on Twitter and the massive effort expunged to combat it, Elon Musk decided to just allow pornographic content to take hold on Twitter. Obviously, this goes against our laws, and the Ministry of Information is swooped in to enforce the pornographic law. And while pornography has always been on Twitter, and sometimes the Information Ministry attempted to ban Twitter plenty of times, it has always failed because Twitter is technically a social media platform and it doesn't host pornography. With pornography now being allowed on Twitter, the Indonesian government can now legally define Twitter as a pornographic site and can ban it. While the pornographic laws does not contain any laws that bans a website, the UU ITE does in Article 27, Paragraph 1 of the Electronic Information Transaction Act, which prohibits any person from intentionally and without rights distributing and or transmitting and or making accessible electronic information and or electronic documents that contain content that violates decency. This article regulates the distribution of content that violates decency, including pornography. Many Indonesians felt threatened over the government's plan to ban Twitter, citing that their free speech is at risk. And the Indonesian government's response to this is just wow. Samuel Pangarepan, the director of applications, said that Twitter will definitely be blocked because they cannot block what's on Twitter, but they can block the entire app. He encourages Indonesians to migrate to another application. Seriously, this response has to be the most half-assed thing the government has shitted out in recent times. But what's even worse is that it doesn't even serve a practical political purpose, and let me tell you why. Of course, in governance and practical politics, too much democracy is dangerous, and it needs to be controlled through mediums such as parliaments, political parties, and laws to provide the impression that democracy is facilitated, but it is instead influenced. Remember, influence, not controlled. But what Twitter does damn good is to allow the government to easily audit itself. Twitter acts as a box of suggestions and criticism that the government needs in order to improve itself. And because it is controlled by corporate people that are distant from Indonesian politics, little political interests play in the part of maintaining the guidelines, creating a safe space for people to express their views without immediate silencing. It also allows for the people to quickly raise an issue without having to come face to face with bureaucrats and mainstream media. And controlling the only place where people believe free speech is the norm is a bad thing. 1, it deters people from expressing their views full on. And 2, it shuts down any possible, if meaningful, criticism. Unless you want to be China. This is a really bad form of social control. Now let's get to another aspect which I think it's really bad, which is the diplomatic aspect. It's no secret that Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, our de facto Prime Minister, Lord Luhut, has been simping for Elon Musk since the start of 2019. Through Luhut, we've been trying to kiss ass for an entire presidential period, and all he did was to shit out Starlink down in Bali, and that is after we've deployed our most professional ass kissers. And what makes you guys think we'll be able to get Elon Musk to invest in our country when we block his favorite application from our internet? I don't think that puts us in a really good diplomatic standing with literally a financial superpower in the shape of a human. But you do you, government, I'm just saying. Out of all of this, I just hope that the government doesn't ban Twitter, or else it's gonna be over for democracy in Indonesia. No more viral justice, no more law auditing, no more informative yet provocative tweet from good creators like Indoji and Ferry Irwandi. Literally nothing. As a person, I can't imagine myself if I were to live without any sort of criticism. Now take this thinking into a level from that of a country and let that sink in your thoughts.
Subscribe to the Based Indonesian Show. Dijamin halal